Yo, what's up? We are back. The Powerful Komiksman podcast is back with here in the studio.
Studio. Totoong studio.
Oh, COVID, hindi na tayo dapat matakot dyan. Let's be cautious and all. But please, let's stop being scared shitless. Diba? Okay. Umpisa natin to. Nandito ang aking kumbaga, every time na magbabalik ang Komiksman podcast, si Carlo Vergara eh. So
Yeah.
I'm very grateful and honored to have him once again.
Sa totoo lang, hindi ko alam kung bakit ako parating mong i-invite dito.
Oo nga eh.
Pero, sige.
Alright, mag-OBB muna tayo. Matagal ko na-miss tong OBB na to.
Game.
Nice.
Let's go.
Yeah! Teka, share muna natin. Sayang naman.
Ano, hanggang 7:30 lang ako, ha? Baka wala naman ako ang grab.
Meron dyan. Teka. Welcome to the Powerful Komiksman Podcast.
Yeah.
Yes!
Yeah.
Sa wakas, nagbabalik ang makapangyarihang Komiksman Podcast.
Yeah.
Dito sa loob ng studio at may kaharap ako, hindi ako nag-zoom kung saang, alam mo yun, kung saang lupalop ng lugar na, alam mo yun, iba talaga yung magkaharap kayo sa, nasa loob kayo ng isang room, tapos nagkakatalsikan kayo ng laway.
Hala.
Kahit may COVID pa.
Oo.
Pero, but really, parang, I think the first step to get out of this pandemic is for people to stop being so scared. I mean, it's hindi naman siya, hindi siya sinasabi na wag mag-ingat. Pero, alam mo yun, if you're gonna be frozen scared all the time, nandito lang tayo, forever. Forever na to. Yun na magiging forever. Pero, I'm getting ahead of myself. Once again, the powerful Carlo Vergara in the house.
Hello, kamusta kayong lahat dyan? Nandito naman ako for it's my third time dito sa Komiksman, the Powerful Komiksman Podcast, at hindi ko alam kung bakit ako parating in-invite. Actually, pupunta lang ako dito para rumakit. Pero, naging naging podcast bigla. Sige, tuloy na.
Oh, at saka nandito si Carlo.
Yeah.
Para sagipin naming dalawa
Nako,
ang comics industry.
Yun talaga ang pinaka-topic natin para sagipin ang comics industry. Masasagip mo. Masasagip pa ba siya? Or nasagip na hindi natin alam? Hindi tayo sarcastic, ha? Pero
Actually, but then actually this is a very very good and potent na question eh. Parang let's for the next hour or so, himayin talaga natin kung ano pa talaga ang anong problema, ano pwedeng gawin, at ultimately paano masasagip ang comics industry. Unang-una, kailangan bang sagipin or what? Ano ba talaga?
Yun. Tapos pangalawa, kailangan natin pag-usapan kung ano ba talaga ang industriya. Industriya nga ba siya na kailangan sagipin? Meron kasing mga tao na gusto na bumalik tayo dun sa, the golden years ng comics na every week may lumalabas, tapos milyon-milyong kopya ang nabibenta during that time. Pero syempre, nag-iba ng panahon, nag-iba ng media, nag-iba ng mga preferences sa mga tao. So, yung mga pagbabago ba sa ating lipunan, lalo na sa pagdating sa mga teknolohiya at sa mga pamamaraan sa pagkonsumo ng media, gaano kalaking epekto yan sa atin moving forward?
Oo nga, no? Well, it's at saka I think ang isa pang thing is parang bakit hirap na hirap ang mga creators at publishers para gawing popular or at least breakthrough na yung comics medium when napakalawak ng history ng comics sa Pilipinas.
Nako, maraming kailangan i-unpack dyan. History ito. Hindi ako, sa totoo lang, pagdating sa history na yan, hindi ko masyadong kabisado kung ano talaga ang nangyari. Kasi di ba alam naman natin lahat na yung Pinoy comics ay napakasikat prior to the 90s. Tapos nung pagdating ng 90s, bigla siyang unting-unting nawala. Merong mga haka-haka kung bakit siya nawala. Merong mga nagsasabi na dahil dumating na yung free cable, dumating na yung mga other forms of entertainment, hindi nakahabol ang comics. Meron man nagsasabi na poor labor practices, nandyan, mababa ang mga bayad ng mga yung bayad sa mga comics artists, ganyan. So yung talent pool nawawala. So yun, and then there's of course syempre yung quality mismo ng mga kwento, yung kumbaga yung mga kwento ba na nakalagay sa comics, yun yung bang mga tipong pang matagalan, timeless, may timeless quality ba ang mga kwento na ito, or Dahil weekly siya, kailangan madaliin. Yun, so ang dami-daming issue. Kasing dami ng mga issue ng comics to. Ayun.
Yeah, it's a very broad topic. I'm sure kumbaga we can spend kumbaga thousands of creators would spend weeks siguro figuring things out. But then again, I suppose we can deduce. Right now we can deduce what kasi to those who are not familiar with Carlo Vergara. Carlo Vergara is the creator of Zaturnnah and other titles ng comics. Pero yun ang pinaka talagang Zaturnnah is Carlo Vergara. That title came from the time na wala pang internet, 'di ba?
Hindi, may internet.
May internet na pero hindi it wasn't the
You
internet
know,
that we know, right?
when Joshua came out, it was like a year before Facebook. So during that time, ang sikat na social media was Friendster. Multiply yung mga yon.
Okay.
So hindi pa wala pang Facebook. Kumbaga yung Facebook ginagawa pa ni Mark Zuckerberg noon. YouTube wala pa rin, mga ganon. So kumbaga yung landscape ng social media, hindi siya katulad ngayon na ang dami.
But you had been creating comics since the late 90s.
Early 90s.
Early 90s. Yung first published mo, yung
first self-published ko, yung first comics na ginawa ko on my own. 2001, One Night in Purgatory, 20th year niya ngayon. 20th year anniversary. Pero yun, so that was 2001. Jaja came out in 2002. So 20th year na next year. Pero yun, kumbaga yung the main difference siguro ngayon compared to that time is back then uso pa yung newspaper, uso pa ang print magazines. Ngayon halos wala na rin sila 'di ba? Yung mga yung mga magazines na nakasanay
lapit ka na.
Okay, yung mga magazines na nakasanayan natin, 'di ba? Yung parang halos wala na tayo masyado nakikita doon. And then, people right now rely on social media for almost everything, 'di ba? Yung news, whether true or false, sa social media nila kinukuha 'yon. Tapos YouTube is the most yung kumbaga sa consuming videos, you go to YouTube, ganyan. So, yung connection nun sa comics, siguro nga, it's another thing. It's another new media and it's, mas palatable sa mga tao, ganyan. So, ayun. So, that's one factor. It's the fact that people want video more, I think. Well,
but then again, I think the strongest argument about that would be Marvel, DC, manga in Japan, 'di ba? Of course, meron na rin silang variation on being available on different media. Pero the industry is there kasi nobody is saying that comics should not evolve, that na hindi siya pwedeng mag-transcend sa ibang medium. Pero you can still say that it's comics. Diba parang kahit na nakalagay sa internet yan, alam mo, when you see comics, alam mong comics yun eh.
Yes.
Diba? So, wag na nating yung mag-Scott McCloud descriptions kung pero pag alam mo kung ano yung comics, so it can be reproduced through different mediums.
Yes.
But the thing is that nandun yung comics right now kasi meron naman tayong comics, hindi man sinasabi na wala.
Yes.
Pero there are very few titles right now that you can name when it comes to local creators.
Kasi I think also that's also siguro yung kailangan natin iklaro because we're not really sure exactly kung ano yung tunay na estado ng comics ngayon. We don't know. We don't know because there are a lot of creators who are webtoon makers. Maraming mga Pinoy webtoons out there.
Those are comics. Comics yun, definitely. No questions asked.
But we have no idea how many there are. We have no idea how much yung what yung audience numbers nila, we have no idea if they're actually earning. I mean, ng pangkalahatan, we're not just talking about individual creators, pero if we're gonna take a magnifying lens and look at the entire landscape of comic making in the Philippines, I don't think anybody truly knows. Personally, I don't think anybody truly knows because yung nga, comic book creators in the Philippines, hindi lang sa Metro Manila. Meron din dyan sa mga probinsya. Outside Metro Manila, there are people who are making comics. We don't know what their numbers are. We don't know where they are. We don't even know na, someone told me, I forget who this creator was. Someone told me that there's actually a Pinoy comic creator who was able to buy a house from her webtoon. So, yung parang wow, may gumawa ng webtoon and then over time nakapagbili siya ng bahay.
Yeah.
So it's those stories that we don't know. So for all we know, malaki at lumalago ang industriya natin, but it's not in the way we would think.
Would you think, parang kasi when you look at the Comic-Con events or Comic-Con, parang maliit lang yung venue eh. Parang maliit lang siya. Parang, I don't know if that's an accurate indicator na compared sa Pilipinas, 110 million na tayo, it's only a handful of people who does comics. So, I don't know. Proportionally siguro sa Japan, mas madami yung proportion nila,
Yeah.
'di ba? So, is it maybe that's one kaya mahina yung industries because there's very few players involved, 'di ba? So naturally maliit lang talaga.
I guess ang challenge dyan really is where should it actually start? Saan kung may catalyst man, kanino dapat magsimula? Kasi on one end, katulad ng before we actually went online, yung pinag-usapan natin, it has to start with the creator. Ako personally, I believe it has to start with the creator. Kailangan gumawa ka talaga ng maganda. At hindi lang dapat isa ang gumagawa ng maganda. Dapat marami ang gumagawa ng maganda. Dahil, pag maraming gumagawa ng maganda at kumalat yung balita na yan, magtataka yung mga tao, anong meron dyan? Kasi pag isa lang ang gumagawa ng maganda, parang, ano yun? Di ba? So, kung maraming gumagawa ng maganda, it can attract attention. However, nandyan din yung ideya na it might start with an actual comics publisher who will treat the entire thing as a business venture na may risk. So, kumbaga, ang problema kasi kapag individual creator ka, wala kang pera. Di ba? Wala kang, you can't really make a business out of it unless talagang, yung magpursigi ka and all of that, mag-invest ka. But if there was a company who'd actually started, like for example, Viva, yung Epic Comics, when they have their own titles, ganyan. That's an interesting business model. Nagagawa sila ng graphic novel, promote it, and then eventually it might become a movie. Diba? So, ang ganda nun. Pero yun, there has to be more. There has to be more, or it can be a combination na kailangan may mag-invest at kailangan may magandang kwento na marami. Yun lang.
Teka, let me just check our audio ha, kung tama tayo. Ito na sinasabi ko eh. Teka.
Ay, wala tayong...
Wait. Meron tayong audio pero
mahina.
It might not be the best microphone. Oh my God.
So, wala.
Teka. Dito Yun. Di ba gumanda? Okay.
Gumanda. Hello?
Test. Ito, yung mic nung ang nakukuha natin.
Okay. Pero narinig ba tayo online?
Hey guys, yan, sa mga nanonood, can you confirm?
I think dalawa lang tayo nanonood.
Oo nga eh. Okay lang, hindi kasi natin in-announce eh. Biglaan lang talaga to. Pero actually, hindi naman ganun kabiglaan. Hindi ko lang talaga in-announce.
Actually.
Sorry.
Sige, nag-uusap lang tayo dito.
We're just talking. Humina daw yung sayo ng konti.
Okay.
Medyo ilapit mo ng konti.
Hello.
Yan.
So, kailangan ganito.
Ano daw eh, one fist. Ideally, one fist.
Kanina mga one fist ako away.
Okay.
Pero ngayon, kailangan kong, hello.
Yun.
ASMR.
Edward, Alfie, Len, and sa YouTube, may nanonood sa atin.
May nanonood sa
May
YouTube.
nanonood sa YouTube.
Magandang gabi po sa kanilang lahat.
Yes. Okay, balik tayo sa sa napakalaking problema. Kailan tayo medyo may pagka old timer na tayo sa sa usaping ito eh.
Yes.
Ever since nagkaroon ng internet, nandun na tayo sa eksena eh.
Yes.
'Di ba? So, kailan nagsimulang maging problemahin ng mga creator to?
I think yung yung isa talagang naging problema, a lot of people were talking about distribution.
Oo.
Yun ang isa sa mga pinakamalaking issue na narinig ko noon na distribution. Na hanggang ngayon ganun pa rin. Na parang we're an archipelago, we have like 7,000 plus islands. Tapos yun nga, in order to bring your comics to another province, kailangan mong sakay sa barko o ilagay sa eroplano. So mas mahal yung ganyan. Ang take ko naman diyan, may distribution ko nga kung pangit naman ang gawa mo. Di ba? So parang I don't think it's kasi para sa akin medyo idealistic ako. So parang iniisip ko, kung talagang maganda ang gawa mo, it will find a way. I mean, people will be interested enough and find a way to get it to where they are.
Yeah, sabi nga ni Jerry, isang sinabi niya na nabasa ko na natatandaan ko talaga. So, your audience will find you or you will find your audience. Diba? Parang ganun. Totoo eh. Kasi that happened to you.
Oo.
Diba?
Although I will refute yung sinabi ni Jerry. Okay? Na, yes, your audience will find you, pero kailangan meron kang umpisahan.
Yes.
You really have to make an extra effort to bring it somehow out there. It does not have to be wide distribution, but enough distribution na may taong makakita. Yon. Oh, there it is.
Oo, diba?
Kasi nandito ako sa gilid.
Medyo iiga naman ng konti.
Okay, so I got, ayan. Okay, so I get it. Pasensya na sa audio. So, yon. So, kailangan as a creator, you need to have some effort lang to bring it to at least yung enough people who will like your work. Kasi doon talaga mag-umpisang kumalat. And of course, this now brings to the other issue that we talked about kanina,
which is
yung parang the free online platforms that are available right now, mula Webtoon, Webtoon, and then there's Tapas, and then locally you have PenLab, and then Goodlist, and other platforms. Yung mangyayari ngayon dyan is, dahil ang dami gumagawa ng comics, paano natin malalaman kung anong maganda?
May dadagdag pala ako dun sa, kasi I think we have solved the distribution. Kasi there's Shopee and Lazada.
Yes, pretty much.
Diba? So, that's content na lang talaga. Content kasi that solved a lot of things. It's cheap, it's efficient, it's almost worry-free. Diba?
Yes.
Pag bigay mo dun sa courier, okay na yun eh.
Yes.
So, it's ngayon, hindi na problema yung distribution.
Yes.
Kasi hindi naman, di ba, sana kung malaking package yung yung papadala mo. Ngayon,
correct.
It's just a little parcel.
Oo, correct. Ang magiging problema lang as a creator kung halimbawa 10,000 ang nag-order sa'yo. It's a nice problem, pero good luck sa pagpapackage ng lahat ng
if you have 10,000, then probably a publisher will pick you up already. Diba? Mga ganong klase.
Yes.
So, you can kumbaga pass that problem to someone else who's willing.
Definitely.
So I think yung Shopee and Lazada, si Roy Mercado, yung creator ng Ophir.
Okay.
His books are available. Independent 'yon, fully independent 'yon sa Shopee and Lazada. Shout out sa kanya. Check niyo 'yon, Ophir. Paul Medina had been doing that kasi totally independent si Paul dun sa niya kasi bumili siya, alam ko bumili siya ng sarili niyang printer.
Wow. Okay.
So anyway, baka hindi na ngayon. Ewan ko kung anong setup ngayon ni Paul, pero that was decades ago. So pretty much pwede mo solve na yung distribution.
Yes.
You can consider that, or would you not?
Well, it's a different kind of distribution because, well, in the sense that it's not the same as naglalakad ka lang sa isang bookstore, nakita mo lang sa tabi, nagka-interest ka, ipipick up mo. Di ba yung ganon? Kasi that's the one advantage that people say that bookstores and newsstands have. Yung may dadaan lang, and then may instant discovery. Yung hindi mo siya hinahanap, it just attracted your attention on the bookshelf. Ngayon, pero right now, when you're talking about Lazada and Shopee, I don't know parang I may be wrong by saying this, pero usually you would go to Lazada and Shopee because you already have something in mind.
Sabagay.
Diba? You already have something in mind.
Visibility ang problema.
Oo, ganon. You already have something in mind, or yung parang or maybe yung someone just posted an ad sa Facebook, the usual thing, may advertising na involved. But it's still different from the experience of walking in a mall, entering a bookstore, not really interested in anything, and then your book was discovered kasi maganda yung cover. Diba? Iba naman yun. So I think that's the one experience that ang nawala given our situation right now. And and moving forward to what you said, because more people are now buying online, how much will that affect the performance of bookstores in the future when things normalize?
So, at the end of right now kasi there's a lot of advantages that this modern times are available ngayon na very easily and handily compared to just 10 years, 5 years ago.
Yes.
So, lalo na nung mga early 2000s.
Oh,
wala, definitely, siya, hindi madaming, parang, siguro feeling mo, nung, kung may, feeling mo, kung meron lang ganun sa Pilipinas, mundo, during that time, magiging sikat ako. May mga tao siguro ganun.
Yeah.
Pero, ultimately kasi, you need a good product.
Oh, definitely.
You need a good product. Itong isang naalala ko parate. The only, paano ba yung pagka-word? I may be botching it, pero ang kaisa-isang reliable na indicator na maganda yung produkto mo is pag may bumalik ka na kliyente na, or let's say kahit anong produkto mo, let's say bakery. Okay, so you can apply that to comics, di ba? So kung kinabukasan yung bumili sa'yo ng kunyari pandesal, sa'yo ulit bumili, tapos pabalik-balik siya sa'yo, indicator yun na masarap, gusto niya yung produkto mo.
Yes.
Kasi pwede naman siya bumili sa iba.
Yes.
Di ba? At ang isa pa is if they return as customers or they recommend you. Maghahanap sila ng tropa dun, sabi, ay masarap pandesal ba dun kina Carlo, may
Totoo yan.
masarap yun. So, yun lang dalawa ang pinaka reliable na basehan. Yung mga reviews ng mga friends mo sa tol, be honest. Be honest. Kaya ko yan. Di ba? Di ba? Parang kaya ko yan. Sabihin mo talaga kung pangit, di ako magagalit. Hindi siya, it means nothing. Yung critic reviews, kahit kung sino pang acclaimed critic ang mag-ano yan, it's, hindi siya, ang pinaka, kasi hindi naman siya bumili eh. Diba? Walang sales na nangyari na dahil nagsulat na feature ka sa magazine or sa TV. Ang progress is somebody bought what you're selling.
Yes.
So yun.
Ayun. And from that, doon ngayon lumalabas ang isa namang panibagong concern is yung idea ng yung pagdi-disseminate ng information. 'Di ba? Yung kumbaga kung may lumabas sa produkto, katulad ng sinabi mo, either kung nagustuhan mo, i-rekomenda mo. Pag-uusapan. Yung ganyan. Ilan ba sa mga Pilipino or nasa kultura ba natin ang pag-usapan ang isang gawa na gustong-gusto natin? Most probably, kapag foreign yan, yon, ipopost ka agad yan sa Facebook, yung ganyan. I watched Arcane. Watch it, ang galing. Best animation ever, ganyan. Pero kung Pinoy ang work, yun ang tanong. Do our people have that same kind of excitement to share about Filipino work?
I think meron naman kasi let's check what's the most popular comics right now na Pilipino. I think the most popular is Tarantadong Kalbo.
Okay.
'Di ba? Parang if you check every time na post siya, tens of thousands of comments,
Yes.
likes, may mga share siya, 'di ba?
Oo.
So, well, given that it's politically driven kasi, 'di ba?
Yeah.
At saka passionate yung mga tao. Pero you can see the quality na gawa niya.
Oo.
'Di ba? Kasi may mga iba namang gumagawa ng politically charged na comics, pero doesn't have the same success as Tarantadong Kalbo, 'di ba? So that's one. I think nung lumabas yung 13 anime, meron ding excitement. Although hindi masyadong na-sustain, 'di ba? Parang ilang mga 2 weeks.
Pero that's an animation.
Oo.
'Di ba? Animation siya.
Sabagay, no?
Napag-usapan lang siya dahil naging animation.
Sabagay.
Hindi dahil sa core comics itself.
Yeah.
'Di ba? So that's where we're coming from. Kailangan ba talaga ng isang Netflix para pag-usapan ka? Kailangan mo ba ng and the other thing, going back to Tarantadong Kalbo, nandiyan din yung idea na yes, his work gets shared, but is his work being talked about? Magkaiba yun eh.
Sabagay.
Magkaiba yun. So, like, halimbawa, yung what's the best example? It's like a meme. Di ba? Nag-share tayo ng meme all the time. Ganyan. Pero in terms of significance, explaining what's behind it. Of course, yung Tarantado Kalbo, nung lumabas yung Tumindig, nagkaroon lang ng dami-daming mga articles about that, yung ganyan. And because it was a monumental thing. Pero on a daily basis, when you go to a website on American comics, nandyan yung, in issue number ganyan, mag-out si Superman. Yung ganyan. Yung ganun kaliit and arguably, parang, parang it's like a fictional character na may ginawang balita.
Yeah.
Tapos sinishare ng mga tao. Diba?
As the art form, di ba?
Oo, as the art form, ganyan.
Yeah.
Dito sa atin, ginagawa ba natin yon?
Well, I suppose pwede rin namang I think pwedeng mang i-consider na art na you're sharing the art form doon sa case ni Tarantadong Kalbo. Kasi the fact that you shared it shows that his art was successful siya para iparating kung ano yung gusto niyang sabihin. 'Di ba? So, it is a triumph for his artwork.
True.
Kasi pwede ka naman kasing gumawa na hindi maganda yung you're not as skilled, 'di ba? Yeah. And then hindi your message falls flat.
Yes.
But the fact that the message gets para communicated strongly through the comics is parang testament to the art form.
Well, siguro on another level, kasi what I'm talking about is documentation. So like for example, when John Zamar interviewed a whole bunch of comic book creators for yung YouTube channel niya. So ang dami-dami na noon.
Manood kayo noon.
'Di ba? So but then those are videos. They are not transcribed. There is no documentation of them. 'Di ba? Parang wouldn't it be nice if someone actually made a transcription, created articles, made a book, something that has longevity. Yung ganyan, something that can be placed in libraries for, yung ganon. So it's that kind of being talked about. It's that kind of yung it's not just a share na pwede mong gawin one day and then after that, yung mawawala na in the bowels of the internet. Something that's concrete na tatagal. So yun ang if people can review movies in sa mga news portals, 'di ba? There are movie reviews, people review albums, people review TV shows. Where are the reviews for our comics? By these news portals. Ganon.
Or at least by word of mouth. Kasi right now, parang
Exactly,
you can, I can still talk fondly about Wasted.
Yeah.
Diba? Parang, or
Oo.
talk fondly about certain Pugad Baboy strips.
Yes.
Diba? May naalala ko. Diba?
Yes.
Yun, ganito yung ginawa.
Oo.
And that's prevalent dun sa Pugad Baboy page. May mga, may nangyari. Biglang i-share nila yung strip na pwedeng i-relate to that event.
Oo.
Diba? Right now, well, I suppose si Tarantadong Kalbo kasi had been nag-boom siya may 2 years na ba? Wala.
I think for the past 2 years.
Oo, mga ganun, di ba? Before him, ang popular was sino yan? Si Eddie Comics. Pucha, Eddie Comics. Si, pangalan?
Hindi si Libre.
Libreng Comics.
Oo,
Libreng Comics.
yes.
Si Toto Madayag.
Yes.
Toto Madayag.
Yes.
So,
kasi isama na rin dyan si Hung Hang Comics and yung
Oo.
it's so much easier to pag comic strip talaga, it's so much easier. Pero yun nga, yung parang and that's why yung dun tayo sa going back to dun sa sinabi ko kanina, we're not really sure kung about sino talaga sa industriya ang may success story. For all we know, there's someone in some province chugging away at his own comics na nasa webtoon and is actually making millions and we don't know about them.
Sabagay.
Di ba yung ganon? So there's a lot and that's why this whole idea of researching and getting to know about yung mga komikeros natin, about their works and what they're doing so that we can get a bigger picture na baka sinasabi natin kailangan sagipin ang comics industry when actually it's actually going along just fine. Diba? Because we don't really know.
For the size of it, no? Parang it's doing awesome,
It's
diba?
doing awesome.
Kumbaga yung statistically, I don't know.
Diba? Like, for example lang ha, for example, if there are like, let's say there are like 500 komikeros right now doing comics. And let's say that 5% of them, what's 5% of 500? 25.
Oo.
25 people are actually making bank. As in they're earning money from their comics. Is that healthy for the comics industry? Is the 5% of komikeros making bank a good indication for the industry?
I don't know. Ikaw?
Para sa akin, it's pretty good. It's pretty good given the fact that comics right now is not movies. 'Di ba? The fact na merong komikero dyan na kumikita ng malaking pera dahil sa comics nila and we haven't heard of them. Parang it should give people some hope. It should give creators some hope na you don't need to be quote-unquote super popular to earn from your comics. Diba?
Do you think is it a problem or is it a good thing that Filipino artists tend to pag artista sama-sama kayong lahat, parang comics industry parang minsan may kasama diyan katulad ko, di ba?
Komiksman.
Dating nagko-comics, dati naman nagko-comics ako. Maganda yung mga comics ko. So hintayin nyo yung ginagawa ko. Anyway. Pero yung mga nasa concept art, nasa animation, parang sama-sama tayo comics industry. So 'di ba parang pati enthusiast, parang comics industry na rin sa Although kasama yung enthusiast kasi sila yung tumatangkilik, 'di ba?
Yes, oo.
Pero kumbaga parang I suppose nagkakaganon kasi like me, sa storyboards ako my bread and butter is storyboards. Pero gumagawa ako ng comics on the side. So I consider myself as a comic book artist.
Yeah.
'Di ba? So wala talaga na profession, talagang comic book artist lang. Or at least very few. I know Manix is full-time. I think he
Yeah,
is, di ba? Paul Medina is
diba?
full-time.
And then again, di ba, we and that's one of the things that we don't know. Kasi di ba, parang just because gumagawa ng kumbaga kung komikero ka, does komikero mean you're making your own work?
Oo nga.
For example lang, there might be someone who makes comics but they make comics for, let's say, corporations.
Oh.
'Di ba? Yung mga PR whatever ng mga companies, ganyan. Is that person a komikero? Even though it's not his work and he's making money from, let's say, I'll make comics about
Loans.
airlines or loans or health insurance, ganyan.
O sa politiko.
Or sa parang are they still komikeros?
I would say so, 'di ba?
So we now go back to that idea na there's a lot still we don't know about, because again, there might be someone out there who's doing that and we're not familiar.
I suppose ang isang pinaka pwedeng maging productive na pwedeng natin pag-usapan regarding this, kasi we will just go around in circles.
Yes.
I think kasi let's go back to quality,
to craft.
Kumbaga parang expertise, mastery of comics. If you want to claim na komikero ka and you want to be successful, you have to be good. Kasi lahat ng successful na sa isang bagay, they're the best on whatever that is. LeBron James will never be LeBron James kung hindi siya magaling mag-basketball. Kumbaga, and so on and so forth. Kahit sino pa yan. Hindi ka magiging professional kung hindi ka magaling. Kung hindi sapat ang skills mo to execute the project or kung ano man yan na kailangan mong gawin, yung product na kailangan mong i-produce para tawagin kang craftsman ng product na yon.
Yeah. Yes. Ano siya, medyo sensitive ngayon yung topic, 'di ba? Kasi
it is.
And doon ngayon kasi papasok yung idea na yung pagdating sa sining natin sa paggawa ng comics, it's one of those it's what's great about making comics is that by its very nature, you don't really need superb skills to be able to make comics. In a sense, di ba? It's not like making music. You need to know how to, di ba? You need to know how to play an instrument. You need to know a bit about music theory in order to make songs, di ba? Pagdating sa paggawa ng pelikula, same thing. You need some technical knowledge. You need ganyan. Pagdating sa comics, pwede kang gumawa ng comics na maganda kahit stick figures lang. Di ba yung ganon? So, nandyan ngayon, pumapasok yung idea na I can still make, for some reason, morph yan into I can make great comics even though I'm not very good. Yung ganon.
Yeah.
So, and, but then at the same time, yung parang the counter argument there is, yung parang, if you watch a movie and you hate it, you can't, you'll say it sucks. You can't say na parang, I'm giving a chance to that director because ganyan. I will support ganyan.
Well, I think kasi maybe yung sinasabi mo, yung skill na paggawa ng comics na hindi mo kailangan parang kahit hindi ka ganun kagaling, that would be primarily sa art yan eh. 'Di ba? So it will concern the art. Pero I think
pati writing din.
Oh yeah, writing.
Bad grammar.
Sabagay, no? Sometimes pwede mong gets ko pero bad grammar ka, di ba? Pero I know what you're trying to say. Tapos, and that's good. Kumbaga, ikaw parang you're filling the gap for the creator.
Yeah.
Ganun mangyayari. So it doesn't show exactly mastery.
But then again, is that good? Parang, or is that acceptable?
Yeah.
If you read a book, tas bali-bali grammar, tatanggapin mo ba? Can you just tell the author, I get you naman. Tatanggapin ba natin yun?
Tama, sabagay. Kasi I think, ito na lang, siguro para mas narrow natin yung conversation. Let's go to the consumers part. Let's talk as consumers.
Okay.
'Di ba? Ano ang comics na bibilhin mo?
Okay.
Ano ang gusto mong, what standards must it meet for you to buy a comic book?
Okay. Standards para sa akin. Ako, dahil comics siya, I fell in love with comics because of the art. So yun ang nag-a-attract sa akin. Di ba? Sabi nga nila, comics is a visual medium, ganyan, all of that. You have to have good art. So doon ako na-attract.
Yeah.
That's why I got attracted to, let's say, when I bought the very first time Phoenix appeared in Uncanny X-Men. Dahil ang ganda nga ng cover ng ginawa ni Dave Cockrum. So yun, doon ako na-attract. So art is the first. The second is if the story moves me in some way, whether emotionally or intellectually. Kung walang epekto sa akin as a person, it doesn't have to be deep. I just need to be moved. Kung may kilig yan, kikiligin ako. Kung nakakatawa siya, matatawa ako. Kung may mindfuck siya, can I say that?
Of course.
Yan, kung may mindfuck siya, mindfuck ako. Ganyan. Pero kung may kababawan na hindi ako nagalaw. parang wala siyang point sa akin. Yung ganyan.
Or so it becomes forgettable, easily forgettable.
Hindi ko masasabing not even forgettable. Baka hindi ko pa siya tapusin. Yung ganyan.
Yeah.
Pero that's my standard. Kasi parang and that's the standard I bring as much as I can dun sa mga ginagawa ko.
So that if those standards are met, that would make you come back for the second issue.
Definitely.
Mga ganon, di ba?
Definitely.
Yung ganon yung
that's why I stuck with Uncanny X-Men for the longest time for Chris Claremont. Tapos nung tinanggal siya at binago na yung creative team ng Uncanny X-Men, unti-unti akong nawala. Kasi hindi ko na nakikita dun sa gawa ng mga bago yung ginagawa ni Chris Claremont sa X-Men. Yon.
You see, kasi ako parehas tayo eh. The first kasi comics is a marriage between words, stories, and art and drawing, illustrations, di ba? Parang ano siya. Pero I think hindi mo naman maiko-communicate yung story eh dun sa isang libro, di ba?
Okay.
So ang una mong the first thing that would attract you would be the cover, di ba? And then if you browse it, maganda yung art, di ba? Depende kung gaano kaganda yung art. But then again, there's a skill. I think the biggest and most important skill that a comic book artist needs to realize and master is yung graphic storytelling. Kasi you can do that without being Alex Ross level artist.
Yes.
Pwede mo siyang gawin. Ayan, yung mga mouse, highly acclaimed titles, 'di ba? Tapos pag tingnan mo, I'm not gonna be impressed, 'di ba? Pero if you read, yun yung maganda eh. That comics cannot be judged by a single page.
Yes.
'Di ba? It is yung totality ng laman ng buong book. So that's some of the profound things about comics that's very hard to communicate. So dapat magets mo yon as a creator. And if you do not have the ability to communicate the story concisely, clearly, at saka entertaining, in an entertaining way, ang daming skills na magkakasama nun eh, di ba? So meron ka rin dapat skills ng graphic design.
Yes.
Kasi dun sa pagpapanel mo, 'di ba? Pagla-layout mo, 'di ba? Yung paglalagay mo ng balloons. Those are graphic design skills.
Yes, definitely.
'Di ba? So writing, graphic design, illustration, yung illustration bonus na 'yun eh. Bonus na 'yun talaga. Yeah. And yung writing I think yun importante yung writing talaga kasi comics yun eh.
Yeah, kung titingnan mo, comics is really more a graphic design project than an illustration project.
Yes.
'Di ba? It's a design. Yun. So, kumbaga yun. Kaya in a way, yung masasabi natin na yes, in a sense madali ang comics, pero it's not easy in the way that you think it is. It's actually challenging to a certain level. And yun nga, yung parang yun, we still see a lot of that.
I suppose one big problem na ng mga, this is just a guess. I have no evidence of this. Pero I would suspect that many of the creators ng mga ma-attend sa mga Comic-Con, Comiket, do not, hindi they're fans of comics, but maybe a lot of them did not take time to study a comic book.
Parang siguro personally, I don't really expect them to, in much the same way that when we watch a movie, we're not really expected to be like.
Well, but if you're gonna be a filmmaker, parang
if you want to be a filmmaker,
yes, you would need to
yes.
determine what are the scenes that worked and why they worked.
Yes.
Diba? Dapat importante 'yon kasi I would personalize this. First time kong, kasi nagbabasa ako ng comics when I was a kid, 80s, 90s, ganyan. And may mga comedy comics akong nababasa until nakabasa ako ng Pugad Baboy na buo, yung hindi sa dyaryo. Kasi sa dyaryo parang ano lang eh. So naintindihan ko doon ko unang na-realize what Pugad Baboy is.
Okay.
And while I get entertained dun sa mga comics na nababasa ko dati, dun sa Pugad Baboy, legitimately natatawa ako.
Yeah.
Diba, tumatawa talaga ako,
exactly.
Diba? So, nagtaka ako. I was grade 6 yata noon, first time ko. So, parang anong meron? Ba't dito natatawa ako? Diba? But dun sa iba, hindi eh. Ito nakakatawa to eh. So, hindi ko alam. I wasn't aware back then, pero that was a question I had. So, probably, binasa ko, inintindi ko, bakit ako natatawa? I don't know. Sira ulo lang talaga ako, diba? Kasi bakit ko isipin yun? Pero that's the way I studied. And then, nung nag-comic strips ako sa school paper, na-practice ko kung paano maggawa kasi gumawa ako, hindi nakakatawa. Hindi nakakatawa itong ginawa ko eh. So, paano ba yung anong ginawa ni Paul Medina dito ba? Hanggang sa inulit ko, I layout ulit, ganyan. Tapos, parang you would need to review every detail. Yung mga word, yung shape ng balloons, yung pagka-layout ng mga words inside. Diba? Importante yun eh. Those are nuances that make a comic book effective.
Yeah.
Diba?
Oo. Sometimes nga pag nag-letter ako ng comics, yung parang, tas nilagay ko na sa loob ng word balloon yung text, yung parang, like what you said, iniisip ko na parang this word has to be in the next line. Hindi siya pwedeng sa line na ito. Yung mga ganyan. Tapos yan, yung mga things like, if I have to do a facial expression, yung parang yung laki ng mata has to be just right. Yung ganon. Hindi ka pwedeng sumobra, hindi ka pwedeng kumulang, kundi mawawala yung impact na gusto ko. Yung ganon. Oo.
Tama, 'di ba? And yung makikita mo yung mga tangent, 'di ba? Mapapansin mo.
Oh my God.
'Di ba? Kasi pag nakita mo yung tangent, parang may mali eh. Parang may nagre-revolution sa utak mo, 'di ba? Hindi mo worry kung ano 'yun, 'di ba?
Ang hirap mag-avoid ang tangents lalo na pag marami kang dinodrawing sa panel.
Oo, 'di ba?
Oo.
But those are things that somebody who really understands the craft are aware.
Yes.
'Di ba?
Yes.
Kasi if you see way too much of those in one issue, in one book, it will show you na hindi naiintindihan ng creator na yon yung mga konsepto na ganun.
Yeah. Ngayon, of course, let's now, given all of that, let's now go to the question. How did you learn?
Comics?
Ikaw, like yung craft mo.
Well, ako, I used to draw. Ever since nagkaroon ako ng ng consciousness.
Okay.
Kumbaga, and I was lucky. I believe I was lucky na walang ibang marunong mag-drawing sa pamilya namin.
Okay.
So everybody told me na magaling akong mag-drawing.
Okay.
Just because walang iba. So the fact na nakakapag-drawing ako ng kahit anong itsura niyan, basta mukhang ma-identify na si Batman yan, di ba? Sinabi nila magaling ako. And I'm grateful. So probably it built confidence in me, di ba? So I became basta nung estudyante ako, I was the class artist, mga ganyan. Typical ng mga ganyan, di ba? So, when, yun nga, life-changing sa akin, two events na nangyari sa akin that affected my art forever was one of yung sinabi ko kanina, yung kay Paul Medina, yung Pugad Baboy 6, somebody nagpahiram sa akin, pinahiram sa akin, ganyan. Tapos yung X-Men animated series.
Okay.
Doon ko nakita yung mga kwento kasi hindi ako wala akong comics na probinsyano kasi ako na yung mga pinsan ko walang may interesado sa comics. So wala ako ng mga ganun. So ang introduction ko to the X-Men was X-Men animated series. So nung nakita ko yung mga kwento, those parang ganun pala. Kasi ibang level mas mature yung mga kwento sa X-Men sa animated series di ba? And then I just doon ako feeling ko nabaliw ako ng slightly nun kasi gumagawa ako bigla kasi I just used to draw. All of a sudden after that gumagawa na ako ng mga sequential.
Okay.
Kasi gusto kong gumawa ng sarili ko. May mga rip-off ako ni Wolverine, may mga rip-off ako ng basta ganun. Dati lang gumagawa lang ako ng kasi ang isang favorite ko dati was Visionaries So may mga versions ako ng Visionaries.
Okay.
Kasi gusto kong gumawa, hindi ako fan ng mga fan art
Okay.
Gusto kong gumawa ng sarili ko.
Yeah.
Ganun, yun ang trip ko. So yung mga Transformers, may sarili akong Transformers.
Yeah.
May sarili akong di ko do-drawing si Optimus Prime. So may mga sarili akong mga mutants. May sarili akong comic strips, ganyan. And then all of these are influenced by something else. And then, slowly, practice, na makapansin ko kung, like I said nung una, hindi ako natatawa dun sa gawa ko. Tapos nakita ko, hindi nakakatawa. Gusto ko, pag pinrint to dun sa school paper, matawa yung diba? Kung hindi, wag na, nakakahiya. Diba? Parang ganun. So, sinong gumawa nitong corning joke na to, diba? Parang ayoko na. Gusto ko at least mapagigil ka man lang.
Yan.
'Di ba? Parang okay na sa akin 'yon.
Yes.
'Di ba? Pero kung hindi, kung wala akong may evoke na emotion from you, that's a failure. 'Di ba? 'Yun yung metric ko. And I don't want to be, kumbaga, wag na lang.
Yes.
Kung hindi ko rin lang ma-achieve 'yun. Until repeat. I-revise mo hanggang sa makuha mo yung maging mas effective yung storytelling mo. So, it might be, tama ka, parang yung expression na medyo mas masaya or mas in grief or alam mo, ganun, di ba? Dapat tama yun So, kumbaga kailangan mong you have to be the critic. First of all, ikaw yung unang magkikriticize. Tama ba? Pag binasa mo ba yung comics mo, nakukuha mo ba yung emotion na dapat i-convey nung page na yon or strip na yon?
Yes.
If not, then you have to repeat.
Diba?
Huwag kang papayag. Diba? Kasi kung hindi,
At saka depende na rin sa objective mo. Kasi syempre, yung parang some comic creators will say na, ay, gumagawa lang naman ako, kababawan lang naman. Hindi kung gano'n, sige, God bless you, tuloy mo yan. So, we're just referring to those na yung I'd like to think we're referring to those na yun nga, yung parang it's really just about taking the time to like, parang figure out what makes a good comic good.
Yeah. Well, yung iba sasabihin na kababawan yan, pero sila yung magrereklamo na walang nangyayari sa comics sa comics career nila, di ba? So ano ba talaga? Kababawan ba talaga yan o seryoso ka? So if you want to be serious, be serious. 'Di ba? Pangatawanan mo na seryoso ka, hindi yung pwede kang ang scapegoat mo kababawan lang yan. 'Di ba? Dapat manindigan ka na na seryosohin mo kung gusto yung ginagawa mo, seryosohin mo kung gusto mong seryosohin ka nila. 'Di ba? Yung mga gawa ni Toto Madayag, 'di ba? Mga yun parang you can say kababawan yun eh. Pero alam mong seryoso siya pag ginagawa niya yun.
He takes it seriously.
Diba? Seryoso si Toto pag ginagawa niya yun. Kaya effective yung mga strips niya. Diba? Yung popular na drawing niya, yung Mabuti. Diba? Tatandaan mo yun eh. Diba? Kababawan yun. Babaw nun eh. Diba? Pero dahil pinag-isipan niya talaga, effective yung drawing niya, yung strip niya.
Yeah. So yun lang siguro ang pinaka-wish natin, yung but then again, ulitin natin, dun pa rin ako sa aspect na we don't know. Dahil nga sa ang daming mga komikero ngayon na gumagawa ng daming kwento, we don't really know kung meron nga dyan na maraming mga magagandang kwento. Kasi, yun nga, yung parang ang dami lang.
Yeah.
And we only have so much, papuntang veterans na kami.
Oo nga, no? Dati tayo yung young guns. Di ba tayo mga young guns?
Yeah.
So inspired, so full of hope.
Yes. And it all came crashing down.
I think kasi, I think yun ang isang kasi I know a lot of people, a lot of artists parang left comics because including myself, 'di ba? Because the industry would not have sustained me,
Yes.
'di ba? Especially the local one, 'di ba? And kumbaga I found something else to do with my art.
Yes.
That's more gratifying in terms of kumbaga livelihood.
Yeah.
Pero alam mo yun, kumbaga yun yung isang kailangan magawa ko eh. Kailangan makapag-release ako ng comics. Diba? Kasi lalo ngayon biglang nung nag-pandemic, diba? Sabi, paano kung mamatay ako? Paano yung comics ko? Hindi ko nagawa. Diba? So, that's, I don't know.
Well, for me, nandyan din yung kaya there's that bonus. There's that bonus na yung knowing what makes good comics as early as you can. Yung parang it's nice to experiment at the beginning, yung naglaro-laro lang. Pero if you discover that you want to be serious about it, aralin mo na. Kasi you only have a small window of opportunity to shine.
Yes.
Before the next generation comes and takes over. Secondly, especially I can say this for myself kasi 50 anyos na ako, I'm turning 51 next year. Nararamdaman ko na yung signs of aging. I'm not as fast as I used to be. I cannot pull as many all-nighters as I used to do.
Yeah.
So kumbaga, sa isang labor-intensive thing as making comics, as much as we want to continue as long as we can, darating ang panahon that your body will tell you, wait lang. Di ba? Yung ganon. So, so that's an incentive for you to actually learn the craft as early as you can and be good as early as you can. Para you have more time. You have more time to really tell the stories that you want to tell.
Yeah, yun nga yung that's why I really look up to people like you who got it done. 'Di ba? Meron kang nailabas mo yung gawa mo eh, 'di ba? Nailabas mo yung gawa mo and the people you've seen people appreciate it, 'di ba? It's been adapted in different mediums and it's parang syempre parang yun ang pangarap mo eh, 'di ba? Of course we could always wish for more, 'di ba? Pero in terms here sa standards ng Philippines, parang you are one of the few who were able to do that.
I mean, I think for me, sige, just talking about personally for in my experience, a lot of what happened to me para sa akin swerte. Swerte in the sense na number one, pagdating sa pagdrawing, it was something that I was doing since I was super young. Na walang nagsabi sa akin na gawin ko dahil magaling ako. Dahil gusto ko lang siyang gawin. So, parang kasama dun na natural dapat sa'yo. Nandyan din yung yung aspect sa akin na super self-critical ako. Of course, on the downside, masama yun. Pero on the upside, it makes you want to do better. So, pinag-aralan ko. Dahil gusto kong gumaling. Hindi lang sa pag-drawing, kundi din sa pagkwento. Yun, di ba? So, swerte din ako na, that I also write. Na part of my career, copywriter ako. Yung ganyan. Pero nandyan din ultimately, nandyan din yung desire na gumawa. Na kahit hindi ka sinasabihan na gumawa, gagawa ka. Kasi ikaw yun eh.
Tama.
Yung ganon.
Oo. So, buhay na ba ako?
Buhay na ba ako? Abangan natin.
Nasagip na ba natin ng comics? Split ka na ba talaga?
Ano na?
Kasi hanggang 8 tayo.
Ano oras na ba?
7:40.
Sige, we have 12 minutes. Hindi kasi feeling ko naman, buhay naman yung industriya. It might not be going in the direction that some people would like it to go. Pero it's moving. Yun ang, at least that's what's important right now. It's moving in some direction. And hopefully, pag lalong lumaki and people realize more what it needs, people will take initiative and do something.
Or maybe some people have this parang fantasy of a dominant comics industry, which parang medyo parang
when you say what do you mean?
Yung parang makita mo parang YouTubers, 'di ba? Parang makikita mo na everybody's talking about it, mga ganyan.
Ako personally, I still feel that can happen sa atin.
Yeah. Of course, 'di ba? Pwede naman talaga.
Pero the right mix of circumstances have to happen for that to take place.
I think do you think the new creators are more knowledgeable compared to or better equipped?
I honestly
right
don't know.
now?
I honestly don't know kasi ang sa akin, it really depends on what kind of stories they're telling. Kasi nung umpisa kami in the early 90s, na yung when Alamat was there, and then there was so there was Flashpoint, Exodus, Memento Mori, and all of these other titles. There was a lot of experimentation going on as well. Hindi lang superheroes ang nangyayari. Right now, I just don't know how many of the young people are actually experimenting, or are they going with the flow na yung mga, di ba, parang you can see in yung mga comics ng mga young people, they look like something that came off of a Netflix cartoon, or yung mga ganon, or it's either that or that it's manhwa, or based on some manga that they read, yung mga ganyan. If it's kung trend sila. So I really don't know. They might be knowledgeable, but it's knowledge in a certain comics tradition. Like yung expert ako sa paggawa ng manga.
Yeah.
Yung ganon. But not in comics in general. Yan ang hindi ko alam.
I think siguro ang isang thought ko doon would be hindi, of course, yung availability ng knowledge right now at your fingertips could help. Pero this is people tend to forget that comics is an art form, 'di ba? And actually you can consider it as as a performance art eh.
Oh yeah. Kasi
you are directing the pictures, 'di ba? Yung mga nangyayari. So it is a performance. In they may not be able to see you draw it. Hindi yung pagdodrawing mo performance yung performance nung storya at mga characters. Yun ang dinedirect mo. You are a director. So, and just like any form of performance art, kailangan nandun yung yung libog na tinatawag, di ba?
Oh yeah.
Nandun yun.
Oh yeah.
Kasi easiest example would be singing. Parang everybody says that lahat ng Pilipino at least carry a tune. Madaming magaling kumanta.
Yeah.
At totoo naman talaga, madami talagang magaling kumanta. Pero merong iba. Hindi mo, yun lang ang pang-describe ko dun Iba. It's magaling siya, pero iba siya.
Oo.
Hindi siya basta magaling. Hindi mo maipaliwanag kung pag kumakanta siya, naiiyak ako.
Yeah, it's beyond technique na.
Oo, 'di ba? Meron siyang iba. So, doon mo makikita yung galing nung nung isang artist. Yung yung si Neil Gaiman, makikita mo pag nagkwento si Neil Gaiman. At least for me, si Alan Moore ang pinaka-paborito ko at saka si Frank Miller.
Okay. Yeah.
'Di ba may iba silang may iba na that Frank Miller does things that I don't see in Bendis story. 'Di ba?
Kasi Bendis is more contemporary na 'Di ba? He's not like super like ako naman I'm going for Grant Morrison na baliw lang. Yung ganyan. 'Di ba? Bakulaw ka pagdating sa ideya. Yung ganyan.
May iba sila. Madaming magaling kasi pero iba pag may iba ka. 'Di ba? So yun ang I think yun yung talagang just like with any other artist in any form of art, kung singer ka, 'di ba, pag kumanta si Amy Winehouse, 'di ba? Iba pag si Adele yung kumanta, 'di ba? Parang wow. Kahit hindi mo genre 'yon, you would have to respect that talent, 'di ba? Hindi pwede, 'di ba? Kahit pag si Mick Jagger, kahit pag ganun-ganun lang 'yun, pag nandun ka sa presence niya doing his shit, parang shit. Iba ka.
Yes. O nga pala, before I forget, since we're on the topic of music, I think that would be a great episode for our next Komiksman podcast about the music industry. The Philippine music industry. Sobra akong curious as to kung anong estado niya ngayon.
Well, siguro merong mga I've done several episodes with musicians and other musical artists about that. Pero
yeah, especially right now with the emergence of P-pop.
Oo nga.
Yun, ibang game na yung pag nandiyan yung P-pop
and TikTok. Ang laki ng for me I think TikTok has a huge impact on music. Alam mo kung anong isang naging epekto ng TikTok sa music? Umiksi yung mga kanta.
Oh, okay.
Ang iksi. Di ba yung kanta ni Justin Bieber, 2 minutes lang?
Oh, wow.
Di ba? 2 minutes and 19 seconds, mga ganun, or 20. Basta. While compared to Queen songs, 5 minutes, di ba? Mga ganyan. Ngayon, parang...
Ano yan? I hope it's not about the short attention span. Sana wag naman.
I don't know.
Okay.
It might be. Kumbaga parang default suspect yun, di ba? Pero that's one thing that I've noticed. Wala nang very rare na lumampas ng 4 minutes. Kilala mo si Bella Porch?
Bella
Porch, yung kanta niya, Build the Beach, di ba? Wala pang 3 minutes ata yung kanta na yun.
Okay.
Pero she's the TikTok queen.
Okay, well.
Anyway, but going back to comics, ano siya, I think, yun nga lang, ilang Grant Morrison sa buong mundo ang meron. Diba? Ang unti pa rin diba? Ilang Frank Miller ang meron.
At saka yung advantage lang ngayon, yung advantage ni Grant Morrison, etc. They had to start with mainstream. They had to do the superhero thing before they could come out with the things that they wanted to do. So, yung naalala ko yung isang interview with Grant Morrison, he said na in order to get jobs, sometimes the editors will tell him, "Can you write like this blank popular artist?" Tapos sabi ni Grant, "Oh, kaya ko yan. At yun ang gagawin niya.
Mm-mm.
Para na makatrabaho siya.
Ah.
Yun yung gano'n. So parang that's also parang hallmark na rin na magaling na writer that you can adapt. Yun.
And then later on, he was able to do his own shit.
Yeah.
Parang,
Kaya yun. Oo.
Whew! Stig.
Dami.
Oo.
Dami-dami. Di ba? Parang ma-issue. Pansinin naman ninyo ang comics. Maraming issue.
Oo nga. Well, kasi ang thing kasi is you can't really blame the consumers
No, you
kung
can't.
ayaw nilang bilhin yung comics mo. Kailangan you need kasi parang ano yan eh, parang yung gagawa ka ng ang logic niya parang gagawa ka ng isang bagay tapos bebenta mo na hindi nila kailangan. 'Di ba? Parang ganoon, 'di ba? Parang bakit ko, 'di ba? Even if it's friends and family, 'di ba? Kaya ako this is just the truth, 'di ba? Pupunta ako sa, let's say, sa Comic-Con, maglalakad ako. Gusto kong bumili talaga eh. Diba? Maghahanap ako pero hindi ko bibilin lahat. Gusto ko yung mga gusto ko lang talaga, yung mga nakakapukaw lang ng attention ko.
Yes.
Ang bibilin ko. Kasi bakit ko naman bibilin yung mga hindi naman just because gumawa ka, entitled ka na sa purchase ko. Hindi naman ganun yun eh. Diba? Just the same way that you're not entitled to my shit.
Yeah.
Diba? I'm not vice versa lang, diba?
Yeah, and just to add to what you're saying, na it's doubly difficult going through Comic-Con and looking for something to buy, get attracted with the cover, buy it, and then suddenly have that feeling of nervousness na hoping that yung laman is the same as what you see in the cover. Kasi madalas, hindi. Parang, sana naman yung excitement na binibigay ng cover nasa loob din. Yun.
Isa pang trend na nakikita ko sa yung mga anthologies, 'di ba? Parang para sa akin kasi parang you have to may mga anthologies kasi na parang sige kung sino lang pwede, tara sama ka. Pag dapat piliin mo naman kung sino sasama mo. 'Di ba?
Well, ano na yan.
'Di ba?
Friends.
'Di ba? If you want to for the book to be successful na magustuhan siya, dapat kumuha ka ng, kumbaga kung dadayo kayo ng basketball, 'di ba? Maghanap ka ng magaling na kakampi, 'di ba? So just because kasi it's a business endeavor, and then ang sasabihin nyo when it fails, it's hindi, kumbaga parang sisihin mo yung industriya. 'Di ba? Malabo 'yun. Kasi kumbaga unang-una yung produkto na nilabas mo is not really the best.
Yeah.
Parang yung mga makakakita nun, baka yung katabi mo na table mas maganda, hindi ka napapansin.
True.
Diba?
And actually to that point, that's also the reason why, and this is the first time I'm actually telling someone, ayoko nang parang I'm leaning towards not being published by a publisher anymore.
Oh, okay.
Ayoko na. There's
Why?
a strong part of me. And yun nga, parang after I thought that, after I resolved that with myself, I'm actually happier. That I thought about that I when nag-decide ako doon. And the reason for that is ayoko ng pressure ng gano'n. Yung parang publisher will publish my book, which is great, di ba? That's a pangarap yun ng maraming writers. Pero kung hindi nabenta, parang kung hindi nabenta, and then the publisher says, I will not get your next book na lang kasi yung first book mo hindi nabenta. Mas masakit yon para sa akin. So para sa akin, parang since na-experience ko na the whole thing, parang I'd rather, parang mas happy ako when I was doing things by myself because yung burden na sa akin lang. Yung I don't have that external,
pressure.
Yung pressure na ng publisher, ganyan, na may gumagastos para sa libro ko, ganyan, tapos hindi pala bumenta. So, yun. So, I'm happier with this
setup.
This setup sa akin ngayon.
Alright.
Ayun.
Yun! Speaking of books, before we end this, nung una kang nakapunta dito, I missed the opportunity to have my Jaja
Oh, wow.
signed.
Okay.
Teka, kukunin ko sa likod. Teka lang ha.
Sa likod.
Teka lang.
Okay.
Before we end. Teka. Kaso wala pala akong pen.
Ball pen ako meron.
Teka dito.
Ayan. So, dun sa mga nanonood ngayon, all like 4 or 5 of you, maraming salamat for being here. Hi! Ay, sa YouTube meron ba? Ayan. So, actually, dumalaw lang nga ako dito kay Gerald para lang sa racket. And yun na, napa-podcast bigla. Ayun. Yes. So, meron pang mga natitirang kopya nito daw. May nagsabi sa akin, may mga natitirang kopya ba dito sa Secret HQ. Pumunta lang sa Facebook page nila kung gusto nyo i-order yung mga natitirang copy nila. Pero yun, yung pagdating sa paggawa ng comics, may ginagawa actually akong comics ngayon, pero ano siya, racket siya. Pero yung racket siya, hindi siya like for public ano. So kailangan lang natin kumita ng konti. Pero kailangan ko talagang since it's the 20th year ni Jaja next year.
Uy!
Yun, so ang first thing kailangan ko siyang ito tatapusin ko talaga ito. Yun.
Yan pa lang so far, may pangatlo pa.
Yung pangatlo na lang tatapusin ko. After that, yung English version nito, bala ko ilagay sa Amazon. So,
wala pa ba?
Wala pa.
Bakit?
Kasi mag-isa lang ako Mag-isa lang ako sa life, literally and figuratively. 'Di ba? Single worker, single pa. 'Di ba? So yun. So everything on my own.
Meron na pala
Ikaw na lang kasi siya. Tingnan mo naman, sabi niya wala pang pirma, may pirma na. 19. Talaga niloloko ako ni Gerald. Ito meron. 2 years ago.
Saan ko napapirmahan to? Baka meron kang ghost
Gerald, nakakaloka ka ha. Pati ito meron din.
Holy shit! Ang labo ko.
Kailangan mo na mag-Centrum Advance. Joke.
Ang labo ko.
Ayan.
Grabe.
Pwede ko siya pirmahan ulit kung gusto mo.
Pero at least meron tayong moment.
Ayan.
So yun.
Maraming salamat.
Napakaraming salamat.
Ayan.
Napakalaking honor to have you every time I start this podcast. So si Carlo yung resetter ng podcast. This is the first live podcast in 2 years almost.
Wow.
Dito sa studio Kasi, so this is really big for me. And I've been looking forward for this moment ever since the pandemic.
The first time was your first episode.
Yeah.
The second time was your first anniversary.
Yes.
And now the third time is the
tapos nung first episode ng Drawing Companion.
Was also me.
So
yeah.
Laging si Cherry Popper.
Oh my God.
si Carlo ng TPKP.
Ako daw Cherry Popper.
Alright, maraming salamat.
Maraming salamat sa inyo.
It's great to be back. Merong malupit na guest sa Sunday. Yung madaming naghihintay doon. Hindi pwedeng magpas ang taon nang wala siya sa podcast. So, yun. Yun muna. Anything else that you want to add before we leave?
Kung hindi pa wala. I-invite ko sana sila na join sa Facebook. Pero sige.
Yeah.
Basta tinan lang ninyo yung hashtag ko sa ilalim. Ay yung yung at Cover Comics sa IG yan, sa Insta.
Lagay ko na lang sa mga descriptions and all.
Yes po.
So follow the Powerful Komiksman podcast on Spotify. Basta lahat hanapin niyo na lang. Ang bobo kasi mag-promote talaga. And also Carlo Vergara, the one and only.
Ayan, ASMR.
Teka, wala pala akong tawag dito.
Kaya mo yan.
Hindi. Lagay natin yung OBB yung EBB pala.
Sige. With that, good night.
Teka.
Ay, wala pa.
Teka.
Hinahanap
Kailangan magkaroon ng EBB para kumpleto naman yung ano natin.
Oo.
Yung kasi naman.
Next time, PBB naman.
Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
Hinahanap po niya sa kanyang file explorer, mga kaibigan. Kung nagtataka kayo kung bakit nakastall, nakabukas po yung file explorer.
Wow. Anticlimactic ending.
Oo, pinapakita niya yung mga dinadownload niya sa Pornhub.
This is the most anticlimactic ending ever. You know what? Never mind. Again, thank you, Carlo. We'll see you again, guys.
Sige, ingat-ingat.
Powerful Komiksman.
Powerful Komiksman Podcast.
ASMR.
Bye.